Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And in 2023, 2022, and 2021, reached out directly and indirectly with the team to over 100,000 fathers and dads around the world. Also, I am a featured content contributor to the Fly Nubian Queen YouTube network run by Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins, and they have over 570,000 dedicated YouTube subscribers. Yes, family, 570,000 dedicated YouTube subscribers, and we're working on some more things to get some more reach via the Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia network. And that's it. It's Monday. Man, it's end of the month. I got up this one going, the month is done. Ryan Knight, believe it or not, Ryan Knight is here. He has to unmute himself, but he is here. There he is.
Yes.
Everybody, welcome special guest, Ryan Knight.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Next time, the track for the applause, I'll take that. But for those that have now forgotten who I am, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro Caribbean Business Network. We support entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, really to figure out what stage their business is in, and then help them create a strategy to grow their companies exponentially. And I am an entrepreneur myself. I do run a company called Detailing Nights. So we provide mobile waterless car cleaning. So we come to your house or your office, clean your cars on the spot without using water, and our plant-based, eco-friendly cleaning supplies. And yes, good sir, it is great to be back with you and to see you.
Okay, before we go any further, it is Monday. So on Mondays, this is what we do. We tell you that this episode of The Morning Vibe is sponsored by the Macmillan Group, providing mortgage solutions one client at a time since 1999. Buying, refinancing, or investing, you can call them at 905-813-4354. That's in Canada. In the US, 904-586-5636. So that is our one of our Monday morning rituals. Another Monday morning ritual is this. We make sure that they get proper representation on the platform. So I'm just doing something here. Just bear with me, folks. There we go. So Canada phone number, 905-813-4354. US number, 904-586-5636. Toll free North America, 866-883-0885. Website address, themacmillangroupinc.com, and email address, raycmcmillan@gmail.com. Ryan Knight, what you been up to?
A lot of, some ups and downs, dealing with family, just funerals happening, but also just trying to keep on top of the many projects that are happening. The ACB and Legacy Symposium is this upcoming Saturday, so that's
talk about that. Tell our viewers and listeners about that.
Yes. So it's our 5th edition, sold out. So if you do want to get a ticket, you'd have to maybe volunteer. I don't know if you want to spend some time.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because many time earlier on in my journey, I wanted to go to these conferences and I couldn't go, and someone told me, well, I told us many years ago, actually, this is going back to PodCamp days. And met a gentleman from the Globe and Mail who interviewed me. I got to remember his name, Mark. I got to dig him up and see what he's up to. And he always ran this big social media conference many, many years ago. I said, man, I can't afford to go. He said, you know what? You can volunteer. I said, yeah. So I volunteered, and one of the turning points in my journey, he had all these so-called experts in social media up there on the stage, and I said, man, Mark, I hope I can. I don't know if I'm good enough to get up there. He said, Dr. Vibe, you know more than 80% than these guys know already.
Wow, look
Bam.
at that.
So sorry.
Okay,
Continue
you see,
on your goings
and
on,
yeah,
man.
no worries. So looking forward to the 5th edition
Yeah.
because we have Dr. George Fraser coming in person this time. We've had him keynote a couple times virtually, so he's flying in. Oh my gosh, Dr. No, who's it? Peter Trevor
Trevor
Wilson.
Wilson.
He's going to be speaking in the morning, talking about building generational wealth. We have Chris Beth Cowie, Shirley Joseph, also keynoting in the midday, and then we have, I would say, the roundtable of wealth creation. So there's going to be 10 different stations with different facilitators, and Dr. Vibe is one of our facilitators.
Oh
So
my.
looking really forward to seeing the different topics and how people receive it. And in the room, we are looking to have 3 generations. So those that are elder, I would say those that are mid-age, and those that are younger, so that we can get different perspectives on the topic of building generational wealth together, which is the theme for this year's symposium.
Okay.
So yeah, so we're in the thralls of that. So that's happening Saturday, March the 2nd. And the day before, at First Fridays, we're doing the, I would say, unofficial media launch for it. So we are working on having Dr. George Fraser come in Friday afternoon. So at First Fridays in the evening, we'd be able to have a conversation with him and then kick off the event happening the next day, which, as you notice, is not in Black History Month this year. We're actually using it to kick off Black Futures Month.
Strategic.
Yes, right.
Okay. You mean get out of all the noise of Black History Month and let's do it. Let's do some things outside of Black History Month.
And keep it going.
Keep the
and the
momentum
gentleman, Paul Green, not sure if you know Paul Green, he's an educator. He's been
that name
championing Black Futures Month. So he's going to be there to talk about kind of the creation of it and the objective of it. So a couple of partnerships that we're really happy to talk about at the symposium. We're working with Allison, who started Black Women's Collective, because March is also International Women's Month. So she's going to be talking about really leading the charge of us supporting Black women entrepreneurs. And then we have the minister, MP Charmaine Williams. So MPP Charmaine Williams. She's going to be there to really, again, kick off International Women's Month and talk about the work that she does to bring more opportunities to women in the position that she has. So looking forward to that.
You got a full slate.
Absolutely. And then meeting for the first time Nima, Bangri, who's the Associate Deputy Minister of Small Business for Ontario. So I didn't even know that was a position because I wasn't sure who the small business minister is in Ontario, and we were able to get introduced to her. And then also having greetings from the federal MP, Richie Valdez, the Minister of Small Business at the federal level. So we're trying to figure out who's in charge of supporting businesses at all levels of government and make sure that they're in the room and giving support.
Okay. How's the team holding up with all this organizing?
That's the question for Charmaine. Charmaine's like
First lady of ACBN. Okay.
I don't know if I stressed her out enough, but
okay. I may have to give her a call in today just to check in with her, just to see if she's keeping above water.
She would love that. She would love
I will make sure to do that. Has this been, is this one coming up the biggest one ever, the 5th?
Biggest, because we got big numbers when we did it virtual. So because it's in person, we're targeting about 120 people because we're doing it at Sheridan College in the Mississauga campus, Hazel McCallan campus. So we don't have, I would say, bandwidth or capacity to do like massive events, but that 120, right, intimate and focused on actual tangible things that we can do to build wealth and build a strong foundation for our companies. So, and it's going to continue throughout the year. So the symposium is usually like the kickoff to, I would say, the work that needs to be done for the year.
Okay. I'm going to ask this. Are we going to see then on Friday? Because the day before the conference.
Okay, right. Well, I'll be taking the kids in the mornings. I always try to get in halfway
Okay,
through.
all right. No problem. And geez, Divine Wright and Dr. Tachi aren't here yet, so I got to do it anyways. Everyone, Ryan was at a big gala last Thursday, and he received an I don't know, an award. Yes, no, gets an award. So, what award did you receive on Thursday?
So, named one of the top 100 most influential Black Canadians in Canada by Afro Global and Silver Trust Media. So I was at their award show gala, I guess you could call it.
Yay!
The award.
I haven't heard that word in so long.
Yes. And then was at another gala on Saturday. So supporting Black charities, they were doing their Wakanda Experience Gala, their first ever big event. So shout out to Anik Silenciu from supporting Black charities. But again, I do want to say congratulations to all of the nominees and awardees of the 100 most influential Black Canadians. It's actually the second time. I received it last year, but I wasn't able to attend the event last year, but was able to attend this year. And there was, I would say, a surprise. I was the feature on their cover of the Excellence magazine. So it had just been printed and they were handing it out. So that was great. Yeah, I don't know. I've never been on the cover of a magazine before. So that was a wonderful experience. So thank you to Moses and Patricia Mawa. Yes, Mawa from Afro Global.
Did they tell you were going to be on the cover, or did you see it first?
They mentioned they would work on one in the future. I didn't know he meant the next one. He's like, oh, we're working on, a cover to feature you. So send us some information. And that within the week, it was ready to go for the event. So I thought that was months away, but really appreciate. They're like super professional with their printing. Gotta learn from that.
So how did you feel when you saw that, and how did your family feel?
Yeah, it's my daughter was really like, I think, realizing a lot of the work that I do in the community, because she's like, this seems like a big deal, Dad.
This seems like a big deal.
She's like, because I guess I don't know. I'm not trying to like hype it up. So the way I'm telling her is like, oh, because she was asking me, oh, where are you going for the event? I was telling her, I was like, oh, I was nominated and awarded, one of the 100 most influential. She's like, out of all of Canada? She's like, yeah. I guess. Like, isn't there like millions of people in Canada? I was like, well, about 1.5 million Black people. So, and you're top 100 of them. So I was like, it was a nice moment with her. And then, of course, Cher's been my rock in really supporting all that I do and making sure that I show up in places proper and that I don't miss a lot of the work that needs to be done in our community, which like brings to mind there was another passing of an asylum seeker in Mississauga in the Peel region. And these are things that it seems like it gets swept under the rug after it gets hyped, and then we kind of forget about it. So she's been still doing a lot of work with the women that are pregnant and having children. So really keeping our finger on the pulse of what's happening, but seeing how the support systems are really letting down the immigrants to our country. It's difficult to see because it's such a big problem, and it's difficult to really comprehend what can be done if our governments are seeing this happening and not able to act. You almost feel helpless, but a lot of the organizations in our community are really at they're stretched so thin and doing so much with so little that we have to figure out ways to support them better.
Well, 2 points. First of all, yes, this is an ongoing issue. I was having a very lengthy discussion yesterday with two gentlemen from Cameroon. One's an international student, and basically he was told a few weeks ago that if he doesn't, it was a really interesting situation. He is in supply chain management. He comes over here to take a course in supply chain management. First of all, the course is $11,000. It's $11,000 or something dollars, which no, it was it was another gentleman. But this gentleman, gentleman I was talking about first, basically he found out about 2 or 3 months ago that if he doesn't get a job, a full-time job in his career pursuit, he's out of the country in 2 days.
2 days.
Well, he found out about 2 months ago, but he was never told that. And it's a whole other conversation. I want to find someone who's in this area of immigration, because who has a good pulse on it. But there was another gentleman, a friend of his, that has been in Canada for 2 weeks. Basically, he's here. He wants to take a course in digital marketing. I said, where are you taking? He mentioned a school in downtown Toronto. The course is $11,000.
Wow.
And I said, okay, well, let's take a. He's right now residing in the Durham region. So let's take a look at how much this marketing course would be at Durham. $30,000.
Whoa!
And I'm just going there. Someone's making some serious money here. Now I know, and international students are charged a heck of a lot more than
yes.
I'm going $30,000. I'm going, and like this, the first gentleman I talked about. How did they expect you to find a full-time job in your career pursuit when you're actually going to school to get a degree?
And that's what they would tell you, like, oh, you need to get your credentials up to Canadian par, and then they give you a timeline that doesn't even match with the time it would take to finish the course.
Yeah. So I'm owing someone a conversation who's major in government to talk about this, because this is really a challenging issue. But it also, on our end, we as an African community need to take care of our own.
And so that's where
this is an economics discussion too, because we should be able to take care of our own. And this is where the economic side, because we should be able to set these others for success. But it's a whole other conversation. Before we go further, Fitness IQ Camp says, morning, gentlemen.
Hey, good day, good day.
Yes, Chris McLimont says, hey, brother, good to watch you both. And also says, Galad King is now Galad 100 King. Big team. Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you. And shout out to Camille from Fitness IQ. She's one of the facilitators at the symposium as well. So
I thought she's not a keynote speaker. I thought that's all she would come for, to be a keynote speaker.
We only can afford so much. So
I know. She's a high price. I'm impressed that you got out there. I am very impressed. I know something's going to come in the comments really quick now with that. But, okay, Opal Inspired is in the house. Keep up with their creative creations. Good morning, Leslie Yaffa on Facebook. Okay. Yes, Leslie Yaffa. Hope your not-for-profit is doing well. Actually, we should get you on the Morning Vibe to talk about that, Leslie, if you are available. It's been a minute since I've had you on the platform talking her not-for-profit that's helping youth in Jamaica. So we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have a new friend coming on the Morning Vibe. Do you want to know who it is? It's a lady named Alison Copeland. She has just written an amazing article on buyblacks.com. The title of the article is Canada's Advertising and Marketing Industry Can't Stay This White. Nothing controversial to come back on. I'm telling you. So we're going to have a great conversation with Allison. So we're going to take about a 2-minute break, and we'll come back and we'll introduce Allison, and we're going to get right in it. So keep it locked on the Morning Vibe.
And that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. No, really, the rappers get all the attention. You know, seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Like the twerkers and the just people that, don't always represent the best of us, the diversity, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like, everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
Really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people. Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. The men who are also doing the same thing. I see Dr. Vibe in here. He's a great brother. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. He's a smart brother in Canada, and we need to follow smart people. So follow Dr. Vibe if you see him in the chat. And Dr. Vibe, say your name in the chat so people can see you. I want you to click on his name, and I want you to go follow him, please, because I want these men and women that are doing the right things to get the support they deserve. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how you doing, brother? Again, like I always do, I gotta say everybody should go follow Dr. Vibe. He's got a great show. Dr. Vibe, I know Dr. Vibe's got a kingdom because I see your channel. I see you pouring into that every day. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. Look him up, Dr. Vibe, Vibe. He's a great friend of me and my wife, and I love this guy.
Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. You know, a lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. Helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
There we go.
Extended version.
What?
Extended version. I haven't seen the full added additional clips. That's awesome.
Well, you know what? That's what happens when you're too popular for us. This is when you're getting your 100 most popular awards and all those things. But yes, updated the clip a little bit. And Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia, always a huge thanks. I encourage you to follow them on the many YouTube channels that they both have. So that is fantastic. Looking forward.
Can I give you a homework project?
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Gala. Since you're in your top 100 now, I'm one of your minions. Go ahead.
Find out from Dr. Boyce Watkins and Alicia Watkins, what would it take to bring them up to here?
I know how much they charge.
Well, I mean, since you're part of the crew, maybe you can get a insider's rate. But would love to know because
we'll talk offline about that because we'll talk. We could maybe. Okay, we'll just talk about it because we can get into that conversation. But I think his wife would be also good, but at least him. I think the Black Wealth, definitely he would be a person you want to have. Definitely. In fact, he's actually doing a third. He did. Was it the beginning? He did a 30-day wealth consciousness. He came on almost every day at 10 a.m. to do a wealth conscious exercise. He's now extended it. Now he's doing it every day. You have to like he has it in a Zoom room. You can pay, and that means you get access. He also created a 110-page deck going deep into it.
Gotcha.
So the thing is, you can watch it on YouTube, but if you subscribe, and he put out a great offer that you could get a membership monthly for like $16 US. So I went in. So I have access to all that stuff. But yeah, I think George Fraser and backed with Dr. Boyce or Gartzwell, because Boyce has his PhD in economics.
Right. Yep.
Right. And he's on fire with that. And he says everything that you do is related to economics.
It's all interconnected.
It's all absolutely. Like one of his acronyms is POOR, poor. And what acronym he has is passing over opportunities repeatedly.
Keep you poor for 100%.
Right. Yes. So he is at next level of that teaching, and there's so many things I'm gleaning from him in regards to the wealth thing. He says, like, if you want to get from, lower class to middle class, own a house. If you want to get from middle class to upper class, buy stocks.
Okay.
Like, I know Fitness IQ Cam knows about this stock, NVIDIA. Did anyone hear what happened to that stock last week?
No.
It went like that. They are the major chip maker for AI. And a lot of economists are saying, oh, they're going to have a dip. It's gone. Like, did he say they bought stock in NVIDIA a long time ago. Their stock has increased over 400%.
Holy snap.
400%. But you know what?
The underlying foundation of trends, right? Like who's actually producing and developing what's needed for something like AI to operate.
Yeah, he has actually a video called How to Become Rich Without Working.
Gotcha.
And it's all about stock options. So this is a Fitness Fitness IQ. Cam knows about all that stuff, but he's helped a lot of people.
Love that.
Buy their first share of stock, etc. But we're delaying from our special friend. So let's get this going. So over the weekend, I was blessed to get a quick conversation in with Roger Dundas, and him and his dear wife Camille are the driving force behind buyblacks.com, and which is Black Canada's #1 online magazine. And this, he mentioned to me this article, Canada's advertising and marketing industry can't stay this white. So appropriately, during this month of Black History Month, African History Month, he said, I'd like to see if you'd like to have Alison Copeland on. I said, all right. And he called up Allison, and we had about an hour and 15-minute conversation on the phone. It just went on and on and on. I said, okay, we've got to get off the phone or we're going to get into Monday. So give her some rest.
Right.
So we are very blessed and highly favored to have Alison Copeland make her appearance for the first time on the Morning Vibe. Good morning, Allison.
Good morning, Dr. Vibe. Good morning, Ryan.
Good to see you and meet you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. The sky's blue. There's not a cloud in the sky. It's a great day.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for taking time out of your positive, productive schedule to join the Morning Vibe family this morning. And before we get into the article itself, can you share a little background about yourself?
Yeah, sure. How much time have you got?
Okay. Well, no, Ryan has a gala to go to sometime.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Really high level. You can probably tell from my accent that I'm not from these parts. Basically, I migrated to Toronto from London, England, about almost 15 years ago now. Had a passion to write, tell my story, and just unleash my storytelling skills in what is considered to be Toronto's creative capital. And really was trying to get a start in the advertising and marketing industries because my background in England has always been in marketing and public relations. Let's just say it was a challenge trying to break into the industry. A huge culture shock, and took me a long time to get in. But once in, I began to see all these racial disparities, and it just became a bit of a bugbear. And I was just thinking, oh my God, like, need to create a story about this at some point. Anyway, fast forward to 2020 and, you know, the brutal murder of George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter movement. I also was grateful to get an opportunity to work with Buy Blacks, and they took me on as assistant editor. So literally it was just like, okay, one of the articles I have to write, I must write during Black History Month this year, is regarding how difficult it is for Black people to get into senior leadership roles in this industry, to be regarded, to be recognized and rewarded for their work. And so I had an opportunity to speak with this amazing not-for-profit company called POCAM. It stands for People of Color in Advertising and Marketing. And their mission is to help people get in, to help Black and BIPOC people get in the industry, to nurture them and to help them navigate the industry. And so I reached out to them and was able to narrate their story in this article, Canada's advertising and marketing industry cannot stay this way.
Fantastic. And for those who want access to the article, I think on everywhere except maybe Ryan's LinkedIn, I've been able to send the link out in the comments section. I've also have it here on the screen. And this is great. So before we get more into the article, what are some of the challenges you have experienced in regards to this industry? I know you shared one or two of the stories with myself and Roger over the weekend, but can you share with our audience one or two of the challenges you've endured or overcome?
Yeah, I think the big one, especially for Black immigrants, is you don't have Canadian experience. Mm-hmm. That is like the number one hurdle to get over. And it's a catch-22 because if you don't have the experience, no one's willing to take you on. But how are you going to get the experience if no one's willing to take you on? And so what was, I guess, mind-boggling for me was that, well, I have experience in marketing and public relations. I have like a 6-year career in that industry in England. How does it not translate or resonate with Canadian audiences? What do I need to know about the Canadian market that I can't learn, you know, if you take me on, even as an intern, I couldn't even get an internship. So it was just like, wow, I don't know how I'm going to crack the code on this. One way around it was setting up my own business and just launching into a freelance copywriting career. And that's what I had to do to get ahead. And I was able to get a job working as a receptionist finally for an advertising agency. And the interesting thing there was that I didn't need Canadian experience to be a receptionist, but I needed it to do anything else above reception or admin, anything to do with decision making or using the craft that you've studied for. You needed Canadian experience. So that was a huge, like, wow.
And with the article, as I was reading through it, looking back, do you feel that criteria is used as an excuse, and more so it's that they actually don't want to diversify their workplace? Or where are you starting to see what is actually happening underneath as you went through that experience and are able to look back now?
Yeah, looking back, I definitely feel that not having Canadian experience was a euphemism for something else. I do feel that it's a very exclusive club, and I hate to say it, but I do feel that the doors are closed to certain ethnic groups.
Gotcha.
I'm going to ask one of the lines from this article that I found interesting was Gavin Baird. He sounded like he was very, very wanting to talk about this from his responses. And, you know, I'm going to actually put it up on the screen because I think it's worthy to show this article as much as possible. So let me just put it up on screen here. He has a paragraph here. Okay, let's just get down to it. Yeah, so this paragraph starting here, we deny that we're perpetuating systems of exclusion like pricing, using money as a device to exclude people, cuts across multiple things like the costs of training or education for young talent entering the pipeline. You're capped out by what I call discriminatory pricing. You know, it's a tool used to exclude people. Let's make a price of entry too hard to bear to keep these people out. So how much of it from your story and your personal experience, economics has to do with this?
I think that has a huge part to play. And I hadn't thought of that actually until Gavin mentioned it. And I was like, you know what, he's right. Because especially in this particular industry where if you're going in as a creative professional, you do need to have a portfolio behind you. And in today's digital world, everything has to be online. So one of the entry into the industry is to have your own website with your portfolio of everything that you've written. So then that means you definitely have to get an education in one of the top like advertising schools or marketing programs like OCAD, for instance. That's going to take money. That's going to take scholarships. That's going to take the economies of scale to get you through those doors. And then once you graduate, then again, for students coming into the market who've never had job experience, their only thing is to get an internship. And then they have to use the strength of their portfolio to land those internships. And so if in your portfolio you have nothing to show and it's all just like phantom or fictionalized projects just to show that you have the skill set to do this, where do you get the actual, the bona fide experience to say, yes, I've worked on Kraft campaign, or I've worked on Ford Motor Company and I wrote the narration for their commercial, or do you know what I mean? So it's very difficult. So they make it very hard to get in, and that exclusion of pricing, that was huge. Like I was like, oh my God, mind blown.
Now, the article is how to keep the industry from staying or can't stay this way. And in the article, I noticed that it mentioned DEI, so diversity, equity, and inclusion. When we think of it, we're thinking of Black professionals getting in. But diversity also includes white women, white gay men. So companies I've seen are using DEI and are able to be creative and still keeping it white by having other areas that are diverse or so-called diverse. So when I wasn't sure if it was Gavin or Julian that mentioned that the DEI includes white women, what was your response to how companies can keep a company white and still say that they are hitting their DEI quota?
Well, that's exactly it. It's like looking at other communities, like if you have someone from the LGBTQ community, then that's a checkbox that you can tick off.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got white women or Asian women or women in senior roles, then that's another checkbox. Hey, look, we're meeting our DEI quota.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get brown people in, again, but then it's like, this is good, and I want to see more women and I want to see more people of color, but ultimately I'm not seeing Black people in senior leadership roles or in executive roles in the C-suite. They're not there. So it's very hard to imagine, well, how can I, as a junior, get up the ladder if I'm not seeing it? You have to see it to believe it, and then you can achieve it. If you're not seeing it, it becomes insurmountable, improbable. Like, how can you get there? And the sad thing is that the skill set is there, but if there isn't anyone there to nurture Black people and to help them to get up to the next level, you always feel like you're starting from ground zero.
Well, and is that like affirmative action? When they look back on it now, they kind of say it was co-opted by, hey, white women took more advantage of it than Black people. So do you feel we have to name exactly what we want? Like DEI turned into BIPOC, or the George Floyd incident turned into like a BIPOC movement. So by not specifically saying like these are Black projects, are we doing ourselves a disservice? Like, what can we do to actually make us get that equal playing field?
That's a great question. And I don't know necessarily that I have the answer, other than I do feel that we have to somehow disrupt the status quo. And if that means that we create our own opportunities, maybe create our own Black communication companies, advertising agencies, I know even then it's an uphill battle. It's like ice skating uphill. Like it's very difficult. And because then even then, once you do create your own companies, then you still have to work with white organizations, and they have to be willing to, enlist your organization and pay you what you're worth,
right.
And feel confident that they can give you the service. But I do feel that, I do feel that since 2020, there has been a shift. I feel that it is coming, but the progress is still slow. And so for me, slow progress is no progress, because I feel like, what is it going to take another 320 years for us to get that equal level playing field? It has to be equal, because without diversity of thought, without diversity in creation and producing, you're just basically just excluding a whole entire community and way of doing things. And that's to the company's detriment. It makes more sense to be diverse, because we live in a diverse world. It's not a white only world or a Black only world.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because African people, a lot of these marketing organizations, they test us to see if the product, good or service is going to be successful, but they won't hire us to drive that ship.
Absolutely.
It's very interesting. And I want you to expand a little bit more for the person who says, why is this an important topic for African people? And you were beginning to share a bit of it a few moments ago, but can you go wider? Why is it important that we have a skin in this game of advertising and marketing as a people?
Because in my view, marketing and advertising, it's a storytelling industry. We tell stories and we normalize how we see things on TV, in the media, through film. And if we're only seeing it through the eyes or through the lens of one particular culture or race, then you're ignoring a swathe of other cultures. We need our stories to be told. We cannot rely on another culture to tell our story, because inevitably what happens is if your story is being told by someone else, it's going to open up to stereotypes or tropes. They're thinking how Black people should behave or typically should behave. We have to control our own narrative. We cannot let others control it for us.
And I'm going to add on to that and profit from it. And the profit doesn't go into our pockets. You know, so that's another question conversation piece I want to ask you. What are the conversations like between Blacks that you speak outside of the conversation you had here? What are the day-to-day experiences of Blacks in this industry, if you've had any of those conversations?
A lot of it has to do actually with the hardship of getting in. That's number one. But then the second thing is, once you're in, it's feeling marginalized. Sorry. Like, I hear stories all the time that, not being brought to the table, or projects are happening and I'm the last to know about it. Or it could be like the microaggressions that they face on a daily basis. And it's like, just knowing how to navigate that. Like, when should I confront the microaggression or should I ignore it? Because if I confront it, then it could be seen as I'm being aggressive, when I'm being passionate or angry. Exactly, the angry Black woman or the angry Black man. So there's that. And then there's this whole sort of like, if you're too ambitious and you want to get to the next level, it's almost like this, you're being the uppity person. Like, just be grateful that you have a job, because there are hundreds of other Black people that would love to be in your position. So you're kind of like, it's hard. They say that it's hard to be their authentic selves. I know from my personal experience, I struggled because culturally, even though England and Canada, we're joined by the Commonwealth, there are lots of different nuances in the way we say and do things. And so for me, like working in a Canadian environment, I felt that I had to be silenced. I couldn't really be authentic or have an opinion or a point of view without it being seen as like, how dare you have an opinion?
Whoa, right.
So very early on, I was conditioned to be silent, because your words could potentially get you fired, even though they're not words where you should be getting fired. But like, for instance, I'll give you an example. I remember there was one company I was working at, and being in a creative environment, it's very subjective. You're presenting work and ideas and concepts that have to be approved by others. And so a lot of times you're in like a roundtable discussion, and people can like the idea and approve it or not. And you have to have thick skin and just know that not every idea you put out there is going to be, yay, that's great. Sometimes it's going to suck, and you just have to just suck it up and then just work on creating something new and different. But I would always experience certain people in the room, white men, who was very waspy, would talk over me and not let me say what I had to say. I couldn't even get to the end of my sentence. And so on one particular occasion, there was one particular guy who kept talking over me. And I got really to the point where I was like, can I just get to the end of my sentence, please?
Whoa, yes.
And I said that, and really that shouldn't be an issue, but actually it cost me my job.
Whoa.
I was ostracized, and no one would talk to me. It was just that was a bitter pill to swallow. And it was a microaggression that I reacted to, because I just didn't know. I guess I was just reacting. So I guess
Yep.
my point is learning when to confront microaggressions and when not to. Like, and that is a lesson that I still carry with me to this day. And I think it's a lesson that probably other people have had to go through as well. So yeah, that's my story.
Well, thank you for being so honest, and sorry to hear that you lost your job, but they didn't deserve you.
No, they didn't.
No, if you're going to get treated like that, they didn't deserve you. Ryan, you want to add anything?
So I wanted, and again, my question might feel controversial, so if you want to give a no comment, feel free. But I remember like watching BET when I was younger. And so when I heard or read the title of your article, it reminded me of, on that station, companies had to create Black versions of their commercials. So when we were watching it, we would see Black couples together. Nowadays, I'm noticing a lot of interracial couples. So it's like almost a compromise. So I'm curious your thoughts on, is it better for us to own our entities so that we can create our own content that matches what we want to see? Or should we be trying to integrate into like kind of what already exists, and then we see their version of what they want to see, where it's like an interracial. I've seen so many interracial couples. I'm like, are there any Black families on any of these stations? So I'm curious, based on your article, and you mentioned controlling the story and the narrative, what are your thoughts on how we can actually do that? Is it better to have our own like stations that have our advertising, or what can be a way to actually accomplish what the article title perceives?
I think a bit of both. I feel that we have to be able to collaborate and work with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So in those settings where you're working in an established corporate agency, you do need to have Black people at the table. So when they're making these decisions about making the commercial, you have a Black director or a Black producer in the group within the team that can say, actually, no, that might not work. Why don't we try it this way? Or yes, it's good to have some interracial couples because that is the reality. There are a lot, but also we need to balance that out and we need to see more Black couples or more Black children, or so that they don't make mistakes. Like, do you remember a while back H&M had that ad campaign with the Black kid wearing a monkey t-shirt? Right. So it's things like that, because they didn't have anybody at the table to say that's a terrible decision. Like, you do need people of color in the boardrooms, in those sessions where they're doing their creative brainstorms, to be in there to put in their point of view. But then at the same time, we do need to create our own Black spaces as well, where you can feel psychologically safe to put out great work and have it be seen like globally and nationally.
And I'm curious, because you said that you initially were trying to get in, and then you started your own business, but then you did kind of use that to get in, like get your foot in the door. Now that you've had your foot in the door, and I'm curious how that's progressed, between the two, building up the business or getting further in corporate, which would be the preference?
Oh, that's a big question. I guess the preference, I think I like being in the corporate space because that's where you can get to learn your trade, and you get to hone and craft your skill. And then it's through that corporate experience that you can then translate it and offer your own personal service, because now you've got the best of both worlds, because then you know how to anticipate client needs, expectations, how to over deliver, under promise, work ethic, and just all the different nuances that you might not necessarily learn on your own as a solopreneur. You will get there eventually, but you'll get there faster if you're learning with others. I'm all about collaboration and working in those spaces, but those spaces have to make you feel psychologically safe so that you can put your best foot forward. If you're going into a space where you're the only one in the room, you've got to deal with all these microaggressions on a daily basis, it's exhausting. And it's just like, can I just do my work and just right?
Just let me execute.
Yeah, from your article and having the conversations, what reasons are these companies giving for justifying their lack of progression? Has anyone asked them about that?
I don't know. I feel like there's, at the heart of it is fear. I'm thinking, what are they afraid of? Why in 2024 is there still this issue of diversifying workspaces and then pretending that it's so complex? Oh, we, DEI, and we don't know what to do, and like, just hire more Black people. It's as simple as that.
What? So with yourself, and let me ask, so with this article, were there any things, first of all, that you learned that you did not know?
Yes, the stats right up the top. Because yes, I've been in spaces, and I've been the only one. I've worked in organizations where it's like 200 plus staff and there's like 5 Black people.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are in the mailroom. 1 of them is at reception, i.e. me. And then the other one is like in the mailroom.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when you see the stats from the Institute of Advertising Agencies, the ICA, the Institute of Canadian Agencies, sorry, telling you that 74% of the agency staff are white.
Yep, in Toronto, yep.
In Toronto, right? And there's only like 2% are Black. There's something fundamentally wrong with that picture. And the only way to change the record, because let's face it, it's like a broken record. We see this all the time. Hire more Black, Indigenous people of color.
Okay, so I'll just read, and I have the article up on the screen, that paragraph. According to a report by the Institute of Canadian Agencies, agency staff in Toronto and Montreal, these are advertising agencies, exhibit significant racial disparities. In Toronto, 73.9% of the agency staff are white compared to the city's population percentage of 47.8% people are white, while only 2.9% are Black, despite Blacks comprising 7.5% of the city's population. In Montreal, 90.1% of the agency staff are white, compared to the 76.6% of the city's population, with only 1% being Black, in contrast to the population percentage of 6.8%.
Yeah.
Okay.
That says a lot.
Well, I'm curious because POCAM now have said they've created a 13-step program where organizations can register, share their advancement in implementing DEI. But we have also seen this before. Black North had CEOs or companies sign on their CEO pledge. Reports have not been great about the progress that's been made. So I'm curious, as your conversation with Garrett with POCAM, what are your initial thoughts on, will companies engage in this 13-step program? Did they talk about uptake? Where are you seeing kind of companies being able to be held accountable with what they've agreed and pledged to do for DEI and the Black community?
Well, I just want to shout out Gavin Barrett at POCAM, because it's a great initiative, and it's something that they've borrowed from the US, this call for equity, where they have these agencies and corporate companies pledge to do these things, to hire more Black people, to nurture those that they have there within their spaces. And so what they've done is they've made these companies accountable for what they're doing by having a progress tracker. So actually this 13-step program, like, you can go on at any given day on the website and you can see what they're doing and how far they've come. And there have been some agencies that are doing the good work and fighting the good fight, like John Street. That's a big agency in the city that's doing what they propose to do. And so I think that's a great step forward, because it's showing that there's transparency and accountability, because you can go on and see what they're doing. They can no longer just keep giving the lip service. It's like, now we need to see the actions behind the words, and you can see the action there. And I do feel like it's heading in the right direction. And there are other agencies that are doing notable good work and are putting the work in. Again, it's a slow progress, but it's progress, and they are stepping in the right direction. And my hope is that we just see more Black faces. When you go and look at an advertising agency website and you look at their contact us page or the team page, I want to see some Black faces up there. That's the goal.
Right, instead of a blizzard.
Good morning to Dr. Tachi, host and producer of the livest online show about media, tech, and pop culture. When it comes back, it's going to be back soon, called Mediascope. It's on live on Instagram, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Wednesdays, and then 6 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, and other platforms. And I think you'd be a great guest on her show because she's really into the media, tech, and pop culture. Also, speaking of BET, why? BET is white owned, by the way. NAFT TV is a Canadian version of BET, in my opinion, although many of the shows are in French. Jean-Yves Roux out of Montreal is the founder. You should have him on the show if possible. I have heard about him a few times before, and I'm going to make a reach out to him based on this conversation. But his name has been mentioned to me before, so definitely. Also, I hear Blizzard Ryan laughs. Hayton Morrison, what is up? I'm wondering what needs to be done to keep the racial stats front and center, because no one can argue with the stats. Any
Numbers
response?
don't lie.
Okay, and Doctor says, I would love to have her on, so I can certainly get you on if you want to be on Dr. Tachi's platform. All right, we'll make that happen. I'm gonna say this interestingly. What you've said, and we all agree, that having more African representation in these organizations would be helpful, but something tells me they're not going to change. They don't have to change because we're playing by their rules. You know, it'll be interesting to see. You know, it's just interesting to me to say that, you know what incentive, they're still making their money.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me says, we got to create our own. And even if it's, go ahead.
Yeah, I think with so ESG, environmental social governance, it's a huge thing right now, and it's looking at brands and companies that are compliant with how they are doing socially, and that would include DEI, having equity, racial equity, what they're doing for the environment and governance. How are they governing their companies? Is it ethical? Like, these are issues that are being monitored now from like all the top companies, because consumers, people like you and I who consume these products, they want to know that the product that they're buying into is being made through being environmentally friendly, or taking into sort of like social issues into accountability, and how are they governing their staff. And if you're not doing your ESG bit, like consumers are going to know that, and they're going to stop buying your product, or they're going to stop watching your programs. Black people are consumers, and we can stop watching, reading, and potentially boycott the things that you're creating if you're not speaking to us and for us. So that's one reason why they should consider Black face.
I respect you, but I think in North America, I think a number of African North Americans are so programmed that I'm skeptical of that, because I know you follow the industry. I know a few months ago, France, the government was a large grocery chain in France, took off all PepsiCo products because they were raising the prices and putting less content volume in the packaging of the actual good. Well, you're in the industry, Ryan and I, we know these companies spend millions of dollars to research us, and they'll find a way. They find ways. They find ways, you know. So I think the more I go on my journey, we just got to do it ourselves, because if we get movement, that's great. But again, Ryan mentioned the Black North Initiative. We look at the stats here. It's not happening, let alone if it's happening. So it's not happening quick enough.
Yeah.
What are some solutions?
Why don't we have a roundtable discussion and get like people like Wes Hall, Black North Initiative, Roger Dundas, shout out from By Blacks, Camille Dundas,
Yes.
all the thought leaders in this space, and look at how can we disrupt what's happening now and build our own economy of scale so that we're not always relying on.
That's where the wealth creation comes in for your event on Saturday, Ryan. It comes back to pulling the resources that we have, because I'll just jump on here. There's a comment here, Allison. I'm feeling that North America in general is less accepting and supportive in terms of race relations than the UK and perhaps Europe. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can concur with that, because I do feel like, I mean, I left England in 2006, and I just find that race relations in London, where I grew up, it's not as segregated as it is here, actually. I find like here you have like Portuguese town, you have Little Italy, and all these little pockets, whereas in London, we're pretty much assimilated and all mixed in. And so I find that just working together culturally, it's a lot more inclusive, and coming here was very different. And I do find that the UK is more accepting. You can see it in the output, in the cultural output. When you look at Netflix and you see shows and like Top Boy or Champion or just various different comedy shows, even like we're in there, we're creating spaces. But when you come to Toronto in Canada, I can only name like a handful of comedians, let's say, because CBC will only probably show Russell Peters once a year at Christmas special. But what about Tricks and all the others? Like, why don't we see them on TV or in spaces? Whereas in England, any day of the week, any channel, you will see a lot of Black programming.
Okay.
And you're not seeing it here. And that is very notable.
Gotcha. And I'm curious, so you've written the article, we encourage those to go and read it. Well, what would be the key takeaways that you'd want a person to be left with after reading the article?
I would say we need more white allies, not performative allies, like real, genuine allyship. And let's just work together, because when we work together, we can create so much beautiful content. And so let's make it happen. Seriously, it's about time.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna add on to that conversation piece. You're not gonna get away so easy on that one. So Dr. Ted says, yes, I agree. I don't trust mainstream to give us opportunities. Then what would you define as a non-melanated ally in this space?
Someone that is prepared to learn about Black Canadian history, to accept that they have certain privileges that other people don't have, and to use that knowledge to lift others up, knowing that you are privileged. Share it with others. Share it. We're only on this planet for a short time, right? So let's work together and be beautiful humans. That's it.
Right.
Agreed.
I would add on to that, they got to put some money in the game.
Oh, reparations.
Yeah, they got to put some money in the game, because yes, it's nice to say support those who can. Well, especially when it comes to companies, they got to put. I'll pay attention when money goes into it.
Agreed.
You know, and a lot of these agencies have been around for a long. They make multi millions of dollars, and my concern in areas like this is, especially after what happened in the U.S. last year with the Supreme Court overturning DEI and affirmative action in schools. This is my thought. DEI is dead.
Ooh.
because in many areas, especially because, and yes, we do live in Canada, but we mirror a lot of what goes on in the U.S. So once that decision comes in regards to schools, companies are going to say, oh, he's not in schools, so we don't have to hire, or less people be coming into the schools. So again, less people who look like us will be coming in schools. Less people are going to be graduating like us, who look like us in these top schools, and just permeates. And then a lot of these American companies have subsidiaries here in Canada.
I hear what you're saying, but I do have hope. I think Canada is although it does.
I have hope, but
yeah,
it's set. It's the sun is setting a little bit, right? Because again, we continue to be consumers. We have to learn how to be producers. Just my thought.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely need to be more producers. And we can be, and I think that's what we need to work towards, like doing for ourselves, like some of the other communities that do already.
Leverage.
Yeah, definitely leverage.
Was there anything in this article anything from your research, your conversations? I like Hayden puts it straight. DI was DOA.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Was there anything you weren't able to put in the article that you wanted to? Because this is a chance, because you had a little amount of space. I know Camille's your editor. Were there anything you didn't get a chance you'd like to share with our audience?
Actually, maybe not at this time.
Okay. All right. All right. What has been response to this article?
You know, it's been gaining a lot of traction on LinkedIn, actually, which is really good to see. And it's nice to see that, you know, our white allies are actually sharing the article too, and they want to see the same things that we want to see. I know it sounds very utopian and hopeful, but you have to have hope. So I just want to see, like, this time next year, Black History Month, those companies that are being tracked by POCAM, it would just be interesting to see Black History Month next year, how many of the initiatives and programs and people that they've employed, and just to see what that looks like in 2025.
I'm going to push it further. I want them to do something every month. I want yearly initiatives. I don't want 1 month's initiatives.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It shouldn't just be a monthly thing. It should be ongoing all year round, you know. We're Black every day of the week, every day of the year, not just.
so some chiming in your Dr. Tachi's, Hayden Morris, exactly. They never wanted to do it in the first place. It was performative at best. And someone you know, not hopeful, Roger. And you shouldn't be surprised about him saying that.
I'm not surprised.
But that's even more initiative that we got to do something on. We got to get rid of the trauma that exists between many of us and do something on our own. That's what other cultural groups have done. They said, look, we got a problem. We know they're not going to solve it. If they're going to solve it, they're going to make sure, because again, he who writes the check controls.
Amen. But look, Dr. Vibe, you're doing your show, right? And you're having these conversations that wouldn't be had in the mainstream. Byblacks.com, you know, same thing. Having these conversations that aren't going to be covered in the mainstream. And so we do need more outlets where we are running our own narrative and telling our stories, untold stories, and fighting invisibility every day. We need to do for us.
And it has to be not the traditional content. Right, which I mean, tired of seeing entertainment.
Yeah.
Tired of seeing beefing. Tired of seeing reality shows.
Yeah.
You know, Roger puts it right point. We have been battling agencies for over 8 years.
Wow.
8 years. This is the number one, BlyBlacks.com, number one on Black Canadian online magazine. 8 years. They got the stats. They got the reputation. They got 2 amazing people who drive that ship. They've got a huge following. I'd like to know, what's the excuse?
There is no excuse.
Thank you.
There isn't. But what we can do, maybe, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, is
Good.
because I do find sometimes that Toronto and Canada can sometimes have that small town mentality where they wait for you to be endorsed by other cities in the world,
US,
right? And then they're
Canadian
like,
thing.
oh, then they want to get on board, then they want to jump on the bandwagon. So because with the internet and the digital world, we don't have to necessarily just look at the Canadian market. It can be global.
It has to be global.
It has to be, because
It has to be. Look, Allison, when I started this thing, and it's still to a lot of extent, African Canadians wouldn't even give me the light of day, the time of day. And it's just now in this part of the journey. Oh, wow, Dr. Vibe, you're doing this, this, and this. I go, yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. I started with this microphone.
wow. That looks like a golf ball. It's cute.
Yes, it's called a blue snowball. That's what I started with. So, you know, I've had support. I'll just put out there, largest support. Not so more fact. I've had bigger support from people who look like us down south and here.
Gotcha.
Yep.
But this good comment here though. Dr. Chachi says, believe it or not, the US is like that as well. Yes.
Ooh.
And actually,
Okay.
I couldn't put up. But if you remember, if you join our Discord, I think I've had a chance to put all that stuff up. There is a great YouTube video, I think I've mentioned here a few times before, done by Roland Martin. Some people may or may not know who he is. Used to be on, well, during the Obama days, he was a contributor to CNN, and also he was on News One for a period of time, where he breaks down what the challenges are for Black content creators getting the attention of media agencies in the US. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a bigger audience, much bigger audience. Like average videos, he gets over 200,000 views on YouTube. So it just means more and more. And again, you who are watching or listening to this live, you got to support us, because it is a lot. Unfortunately, it is a numbers game.
Yeah.
Until we create something our own that isn't based solely on numbers, but it is a numbers game. So it has to be coming down the support, you know, huge time. Any final thoughts, Allison, before we let you go? Because I know you've got agency stuff for your creative place to do.
I just want to echo what you said. You know, we've got to start, if we're going to do things for us, by us, then we've got to support us. So, you know, put your money where your mouth is, like support.
Or even your time.
Your time, exactly that. Support. That's where it starts, support.
And I'm curious, what's the next milestone for Copeland Creative? Where do you see the company going?
Wow, big question. What I'm going to say is watch this space. My website is launching soon, relaunching. I had a redesign in play. So you can find out at copelandcreative.ca.
Excellent. We will. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison, for taking the time to share with us today. I appreciate it. You always have a home here. I have a feeling you got some other content coming out that I think that we need to view. So we'll be anxiously waiting for that. And if there's anything we can potentially help you with down the line, please feel free to reach out.
Oh, absolutely. I'll definitely make sure you guys know. I'll give you the first scoop.
Well, give Roger and Camille first. Then
yes.
Yes, please. Yes. Give it to them first. So as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace, and we'll chat with you soon. Thanks for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. There we go. Very interesting
excellent.
conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting conversation. People don't realize marketing and advertising has a huge footprint on what we do, or what not. Well, decisions that we make. I wouldn't say what we do. The decisions that we make is very influential. Ryan, what did you take home from that conversation?
Yeah, I like that POCAM has created a way for us to keep track and actually log in to see the progress of the companies that have signed on. So I'm going to check it out and see kind of where people are at. And like you said, check it each month. And by next year, see if there's actual proper progress made. So I think that's excellent. And glad that she's highlighting we need to address the whiteness in the room. And as David Archer keeps telling us, it's a created construct. So the more that it's used to keep us out of spaces, we have to be able to fight back against that.
Excellent. We have to thank buyblacks.com for making this conversation happen, and we're going to make some more. We had some going for a while, and I have to take responsibility that not more of them have been happening, so we're going to make those happen. And please, there's all their contact information: website, Facebook, X, YouTube, Instagram, and wherever you're watching this, except Ryan's LinkedIn, their contact information has been shared with you. So that is fantastic. Ryan, what else is going on for the week?
Well, thanks to buyblacks.com. Not sure if people heard the news, but ACBN, the Afro Caribbean Business Network, was named the People's Choice Award winner for 2023.
Congratulations.
And so BuyBlacks did release their video showing all the winners. So definitely check that out on their website. And again, shout out to those that voted, of course, to the ACBN team and all our supporters. It was really heartwarming seeing the comments as people were voting and talking about how ACBN has supported them and their business. So yeah, I really thank buyblacks.com for the platform and the opportunity to even be nominated. It was a great experience. So we have a great announcement at our event, so stay tuned.
All right. Frequency Event Promotions. Congrats, ACBN. Well deserving. Dr. Taji says, congrats, Ryan.
Thank you.
Opal says, thanks, Allison. Great conversation. Dr. Tachi, thanks, Allison. I'll make sure you get in touch with her. Okay. That is it for this week. Well, not this week, this today. So surprised that Ryan's here. Oh my God, he's here. He's actually here. Roger says, congrats to ACBN, well deserved. And then keep up the great work. Well, it's Ryan and team. It's not just him alone. It was him alone. You see, Frequency Event Promotions, you say that, First Lady Charmaine's going to give you a lick in your head. So don't forget her and the rest of the team. So a few things, and I didn't even do this at the beginning. So let's do a few things. I totally forgot to do this. All right. So please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Hit the notification button. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. What else do we got today? What's else? Some other things. I'm trying to find this stuff. Okay. Advertise your business product or service on the platform or any of the platforms I host. Please email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group and email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And also put the replay of this will be there, and also the link to the article we'll be putting there. What else? There's Ryan's website, ryanoneilknight.com. So I'm going to take a look and see if galaking.com has been taken. And then LinkedIn, Ryan Oneil Knight, Instagram at ryan.knight99, and email work with me if you get his time. Work with me at ryanoneilknight.com for myself. Website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the Dr. Vibe Show, Instagram at the drvibeshow, and X at drvibeshow. So Ryan, I can already tell you, Ryan may or may not be with us on Friday because he has to walk his, as he says, his kiddos to school, and he does have a big event the next day. So I don't know if he's going to be what made me, but for those who come next Friday, next Friday is the beginning of a new month. I just
like March on Friday.
Where did this month go?
Yes.
Where did it go? So Wayne Harris is going to be back on fire. Financial First Fridays with Wayne Harris. Also, you can watch replays of this epic conversation, the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and Facebook, Afro Caribbean Business Network, Facebook and YouTube, and Ryan Oneil Knight, YouTube and LinkedIn. Any last words you have for us today, Gala 100 King?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the week playing out. The lead up to a big event is always nerve-wracking, but as you said, our team is strong, so I don't feel as drained and nervous and just anxious as I normally do when events are happening, when we didn't have a team to help run it. So yeah, shout out to Charmaine, Ruben, Nicola, Chris Beth, everybody that's been working on
Nicola, man, I haven't seen her in a minute. Nicola.
Yeah. And to Sheridan College for supporting us and their Edge program with Renee
Yes.
and their team there. So really
See,
thank you.
now I will support them because they put some money in the game.
That's the key.
Right? Right? They put some energy and money in the game.
Right.
Respect to that. That is huge. So Fitness IQ says big up.
Hey.
Open Inspired. Congrats, Ryan and team.
Thank you.
Frequency event promotions coming around. Keep up the great work. LOL Gala King.
Right.
And then hashtag galaking.com.
Right.
I'm going to leave on one quick story. So I have a number of, and actually I hope Roger's watching this because this is interesting. So I had one of the team member interns who was editing the last time there was By Black's Restaurant Week.
Ah, yes.
And so he goes, you know what? I was editing that show and you mentioned Stacy's place. I can't remember the name of the place. Stacy has a food place and he goes, I live right around the corner from there. And what did he do? He hadn't been there. He tried the food. He loves it. I go, what did you try? Oxtail. I go, oh my God.
Yes.
I said, between Roger and Ryan, they made you get the oxtail. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be, son going, he had oxtail. I'm going, oh, yeah, there we go.
That's the best first choice. Like if you want
Stacy's Island flavor. Yes, thank you, Roger.
Great experience, go get it.
So I said, I got to mention to both of them today when he's editing this, because I went around the corner and I go, oh my goodness, I'm going, Ryan Knight, the 100, not only most recognized, but I'm just telling you that made me laugh so much. So Roger and Ryan, you've converted someone to Stacy's Island flavor.
Hey, the crusades have begun. We are gonna get more converted to Black restaurants and more converted.
Oh, look at this frequency event promotions. We go there at least 3 times a month.
That's nice.
And then good. Dr. Chacha goes hashtag Oxtail King. Oh God. Well, the only thing I'm fortunate about Stacy's Island place, they're gonna have to move eventually.
Development's going there?
Of course.
Oh,
they're going to be putting up condos eventually there. It's right along Shepherd Avenue here in the Toronto area. And of course, the LRT, they've been tearing down, building condominiums along Shepherd Avenue from actually forever. And it's sooner or later, it's going to happen. So enjoy Stacy's while you can.
Gotcha.
All right. So family, we hope you have an outstanding week. I'll be here Friday. I don't know if Ryan isn't, but you know Ryan, if he isn't here, you know why he is not going to be here. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. See you Friday.